In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Beneficent. Now the main headlines. Only 3 days until the screening of the film The Lady of Heaven on international platforms in 20 languages. International non-violence organisation Free Muslim condemns threats aimed at Canadian journalists. Famous Iranian designer of holy shrines passes away in America. The Zainabia Seminary discusses the dimensions of the great Fatimid cause and the mission of religious preaching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, dear viewers. This is Ayub Nouinou and you're watching Shia Waves live from Imam Hussein TV 3. The makers of the international cinematic film, The Lady of Heaven, which tells part of the oppression subjected by Lady Fatima al-Zahra, peace be upon her, and her blessed biography, announced the day of its screening on international film platforms. According to a statement received by Shia Waves news agency, the organisers set the day of December the 23rd for the release of the film on international platforms, indicating that it will be available worldwide and translated into 20 international languages. They explained that the film came after years of hard work and continuous efforts to serve the Great Lady, peace be upon her. The statement added, there is a second version fully dubbed in French, which will be released after the original English version, after which a third version fully dubbed in Arabic will be released. The Lady of Heaven, which was released in Britain last year, won the Forbes Award at the Cannes International Film Festival for the best visual effects. The film is an unprecedented historical achievement and is considered the largest global work in the service of our great Lady Fatima al-Zahra, peace be upon her, as the cost of production exceeded more than $15 million. Free Muslim organisation condemned threats posed to Canadian journalists and called on authorities to intensity efforts to combat hate speech. More details in the following report.
The organisation added that according to reports, the abuse of journalists via the internet has. The International Non-Violence Organization condemned the threats against journalists in Canada, calling on the authorities to shoulder their legal responsibilities by addressing those who launched hate speech. The organization said in a statement that it had seen reports that a number of journalists in Canada had been subjected to human rights violations by unknown parties, expressing its strong condemnation of these shameful acts. The organization added that according to reports, the abuse of journalists via the internet has reached its peak, and a number of them have been subjected to threats of murder and rape in light of the government's unjustified silence on what is happening. While some statements of Canadian journalists who have been threatened indicate that they are afraid to leave their homes and had to take exceptional security precautions. The organization stated that earlier this month, 52 newspapers and media institutions published an open letter warning of the horrific impact of these violations and urging political leaders to denounce any attempt to undermine the media profession. Reporting, Zahra Abbas, Shia Waves.
The famous Iranian architect Iraj Etisam passed away at the age of 92 after a journey full of giving and achievements. According to information obtained by Shia Waves news agency, the architect and urban planner Iraj Etisam died yesterday evening at his residence in the US city of San Jose. He was responsible for the management and design of several projects, most notably the design of building the Shah Cheragh Mosque in Shiraz, Iran, which includes the graves of Sayyid Ahmed and Sayyid Muhammad, two sons of Imam Musa al-Kadhim, peace be upon them, which was attacked 2 months ago by an armed terrorist claiming the lives of 20 pilgrims. Etisam also produced prominent international designs, including the design of the building of the University of Sistan and Balochistan, and other buildings in the city of Litian, tourist shopping malls, Seyran, Ardabil, Lahijan and others. Engineer Iraj Etisam, who holds a PhD in architectural engineering from the University of Florence, worked as an expert in regional planning for the United Nations organization. Let us remind our respected viewers of today's headlines. Only 3 days into the screening of the film The Lady of Heaven on international platforms in 20 languages. International non-violence organisation Free Muslim condemns threats aimed at Canadian journalists. Famous Iranian designer of holy shrines passes away in America. Also tonight, Imam al-Mahdi Center opens in Japan to disseminate teachings of Ahl al-Bayt. The Zainabia Seminary of the Shirazi Religious Authority in the Syrian capital Damascus held a cultural symposium titled The Milestones of Preaching in the Life of Lady Zahra, peace be upon her, as part of the activities of reviving the Holy Fatimid days. The symposium, according to the deanship of the seminary, included several activities and began with the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha on the souls of the founder of the Zainabia Seminary, the martyr Sayyid Hassan al-Shirazi, and the late religious authority Sayyid Muhammad Sadiq al-Ruhani, and the professors of the Zainabia Seminary. It explained that the representative of the Supreme Religious Authority, His Eminence Sheikh Jalal Ma'ash, delivered a speech in which he touched on the importance of preaching in the seminaries, citing a group of Quranic verses, noble narrations and stories from history, with his personal experiences in Syria and other countries of the world. The seminary added that the symposium included presenting questions by the seminary students on various issues with regard to the task of preaching and the dimensions of the great Fatimid cause. And now we continue some short news stories. The Holy Shrine of Lady Zainab, peace be upon her, in the Syrian capital Damascus, hosted the rite of passage ceremony for 500 girls in the presence of their families and distinguished scholars from the seminary. The ceremony was held under the slogan, Az-Zahra, my role model, and girls from different Syrian provinces participated in the event. The blessed ceremony included the presentation of blessed gifts to the girls, while those in charge stressed the importance of emulating the biography of Lady Fatima al-Zahra and the Ahl al-Bayt, peace be upon them all. An official delegation from the United Nations had the honor of visiting the holy shrine of the commander of the faithful, Imam Ali, son of Abu Talib, peace be upon him. The UN delegation, headed by Christian Richer, head of the UN investigation team to promote accountability for the crimes committed by ISIS in Iraq, was briefed on the historical and cultural dimensions and the spiritual atmosphere of the holy shrine. The international delegation appreciated the warm reception and hospitality, expressing their admiration of the services provided to the pilgrims. Lady Fatima al-Zahra complex, affiliated to the Shirazi Religious Authority in the Afghan capital Kabul, has carried out many charitable activities. The complex distributed financial aid and food baskets to more than 150 orphan and needy families. Within its charitable activities, the complex also distributed food baskets to women working in the textile factories of the complex and to women of martyrs and orphans. At least 19 people were killed and 32 injured when a fuel tanker exploded in a tunnel north of the Afghan capital Kabul, a local official has reported. The The Salang Tunnel, about 80 miles or 130 kilometers north of Kabul, was originally built in the 1960s. It is a key route linking the country's north and south. A spokesperson for Parwan province said the explosion on Saturday night killed at least 19 people, including women and children. He said survivors remain trapped under rubble and that the number of casualties could rise. At least 7 people were killed and 8 others injured on Monday when ISIS terrorists attacked a vehicle carrying civilians in a village in Diyala province, east of Iraq, according to security sources. As of Saturday, at least 9 federal police officers killed in a bombing in north-central Iraq near the oil-rich city of Kirkuk, security officials said. ISIS said on its Telegram channel that it had carried out the attack, Reuters reported. As part of their activities in disseminating the teachings and knowledge of Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, across the world, Imam Hussein Holy Shrine has announced the opening of Imam al-Mahdi Center in Japan. The Deputy Director of Ashab al-Kisa Center, Sheikh Ahmed al-Fatlawi, said the activities of the center in Japan began the last month of Muharram, pointing out that a team from the center laid the cornerstone for Imam al-Mahdi Center to be the center for disseminating the teachings and knowledge of Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. Al-Fatlawi continued, the center will begin its activities as soon as the syllabus is prepared, adding that one of the outcomes of the previous visit to Japan is that a mosque has joined the center. The United Nations has called on Taliban to stop terrorist attacks against Pakistan or any other neighbouring country from Afghan soil. More details in the following report.
The Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, called on the Afghan Taliban movement to work in order to prevent terrorist organizations from launching attacks in Pakistan or any other neighbouring country from Afghan soil. He explained that the organization is currently in discussions with Taliban in this regard. Guterres said in response to a question from the UN correspondent about the escalating cross-border terrorist attacks launched by the Tehrik-e-Taliban against Pakistan, which caused many casualties. We consider it absolutely necessary for the Taliban movement, Afghanistan, not to allow any form of terrorist activity that may have to impact with respect to Pakistan, as it does with respect to any other country in the region. The UN official added in his press conference marking the end of the year, there are many clear things that we believe that Taliban should not present from the point of view of the interests of the international community, and from the point of view of the interests of Afghanistan itself. There is one thing they have to achieve in terms of integration into the power structures of Afghanistan, Guterres said, stressing that all ethnic groups in the country must be represented. He added the second aspect is related to human rights, especially the rights of women and girls, the rights of women to work and the rights of girls to attend schools to all levels without discrimination. Reporting Ahmed Faili for Shia Waves.
Lawmakers in the US state of New Jersey are considering naming January Muslim Heritage Month. The bill was sponsored by Senator Joe Pinacchio and advanced by the state government Wandering, Tourism and Historic Preservation Committee. With the resolution SJR 105, Pinacchio seeks to elevate awareness and appreciation of the Muslim American community and their accomplishments in New Jersey. The fact the legislature is taking time to consider this during the holiday season demonstrates how ecumenical we really are as a state, said Pinacchio. This is a time when all faiths come together, sharing pride in each other's efforts, beliefs, traditions and customs. At this special time, it is appropriate that we recognize our Muslim brothers and sisters for their contributions to the diverse fabric of New Jersey. There are nearly 300,000 Muslim Americans in New Jersey, including numerous current and former elected officials dedicated to public service in their communities. To tell us more about the bill and the Muslim Heritage Month is our dear guest, who is joining us live here tonight. Assalamu alaikum, Mustafa Abdi, who is joining us live from New Jersey. Considering the bill is passed, God willing, how can the Muslim communities in the US make the most of the Muslim Heritage Month?
Assalamu alaikum, brother. Thank you for having me here tonight, this afternoon. But I'm very excited that so far we've been working on Islamophobia part of it basically for a long time. In 2001, when 9/11
9/11
attack,
attack.
so we should start some PR organization, and that was the work of the fighting Islamophobia against uh, uh, all the media and PR campaign against Islam. So we started an organization named MuslimForPeace.org, and the mission was this organization to work with the intrafaith and interfaith, with Shia and Sunni together, united in this front, basically. So, so far, so there's a coalition of few organizations, here New Jersey and few other organizations. They work together to pull this great, issue out to Islamophobia. How can we fight Islamophobia? Then we introduce this bill to the Senate, Muslim Heritage Month, basically. And I really thank you, Senator Pinacio and Senator Stock and Senator Bucco, and one of the very good friend of Muslim for Peace, Senator Vingopal, who kind of help us out. And there's a few Muslim councilwomen in the state, council women in the states, councilwomen Sadab Jaffer and Shama Heather too, and they kind of help us to pull this out too as well.
And in your opinion, how can Muslims push for special events or days to spread awareness of Islam and its heritage and history, especially with the recent election of several new Muslim lawmakers in state governments?
Yes, there's a long way to go because Islamophobia has been increasing now in New Jersey. Kind of, we're fighting two ends of it, and one is Islamophobia, and other Zionist part of it, and the third part is Hindutva. Hindutva has been on rise in New Jersey right now, basically, and this is we need to tackle because a lot of issues on our plate right now. And so we have created a committee who is gonna design the website and work being done right now. So we'll introduce to different libraries in New Jersey, talk about the Islam, the religion of Islam, and basically the beautiful message of Islam, so we can give out to non-Muslim. This is how we build on this work can be done only by the unity of the togetherness of Shia Sunni unity and giving the message out to non-Muslim on this front, basically. And this is the main reason that Muslim for Peace created one more organization, StandWithDignity.org, which is this organization introduces Imam Hussein, message of Imam Hussein to non-Muslim too. So if you have a chance, you just visit on our website, muslimsforpeace.org or standwithdignity.org. These two organizations, they work together. And I really thank to the senators and plus the Care New Jersey, who kind of leading part on this mission.
Mustafa Abdi, thank you for your insights. Thank you for joining us. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Mustafa Abdi, the director of MuslimsForPeace.org, joined us live from New Jersey. We have reached the end of today's Shia Waves show. Let's remind our viewers of today's headlines. Only 3 days into the screening of the film The Lady of Heaven on international platforms in 20 languages. International non-violence organization Free Muslim condemns threats aimed at Canadian journalists. Famous Iranian designer of holy shrines passes away in America. The Zainabia Seminary discusses the dimensions of the great Fatimid cause and the mission of religious preaching. Imam al-Mahdi Center opens in Japan to disseminate teachings of Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. UNSG calls on Taliban to stop terrorist attacks against Pakistan from Afghan soil. New Jersey senator sponsors bill to mark January as Muslim Heritage Month. You can view the latest news on Shia Waves website, and you can send news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Please contact us on the number at the bottom of the screen. This is the end of today's news, and thank you all for watching. We pray to Allah Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.